Greetings everyone, it's me, and it's time to review a 2018 or 2019 Oscar contender. If Beale Street Could Talk was written and directed by Barry Jenkins, it's based off the 1974 novel of the same name by James Baldwin. Barry Jenkins is an American film director, screenwriter, and producer. I reviewed his last film, Moonlight, on this channel, which I enjoyed quite a bit. It was a familiar but still very solid coming-of-age tale with some really great direction and performances. And with Beale Street, Barry Jenkins takes a similar stylistic approach as he did with Moonlight and tackles another story about love with some subtle but still very serious social commentary about inequality and racism in America. This film takes place in the early 1970s in Harlem, New York. It follows Tish, played by Kiki, Layne, and Alonzo, or Fonny as they call him in the movie, played by Stephan James, who are a young couple who fall in love and subsequently get engaged. Shortly after Tish gets pregnant with their child, Fonny is arrested and sent to jail on false rape allegations. This tragic scenario forces the families of both Tish and Fonny to come together and try to find a way to get Fonny out of prison and prepare for the incoming child. So first things first, Beale Street is gorgeous. The cinematography by James Laxton in this film is excellent. Everything looks great. The color palette is super vibrant and really pretty. All the yellows really pop. There's also plenty of great lighting in this film. James Laxton also shot Moonlight, and I don't know if this has to do with the budget of Beale Street versus Moonlight, but Beale Street looks significantly better than Moonlight in my opinion. And it's not like Moonlight looked like shit or anything like that. It's just that this film feels a lot more immersive and digestible from a visual standpoint. There's lots of nice profile shots where the camera will show the perspective of a character who's looking head-on at another character, and we absorb the emotion of the character that we're seeing. Combined with the beautiful colors, lighting, outfits, and dialogue, these profile shots and really the cinematography as a whole feels very intimate and personal, making it really easy for you to get sucked into this film and the beauty and romance of it all. I loved how this film tackles a serious and fairly depressing subject and gives it so much life, hope, and sophistication with this exceptional presentation. The visual aesthetics of this film alone are enough to make me want to go back and watch it again. On top of the cinematography, the soundtrack is also great. They might have milked the main theme a little too much, but it sounds great, so it's really not that much of a complaint. Beale Street is a non-linear narrative, so it moves freely from one point in time to the next, and I think they do a pretty good job of structuring this narrative. Nothing about it really feels jarring or abrupt. Sometimes it almost feels like a visual essay with how it will sort of pause the story so that it can explain the current political and cultural climate of 1970s Harlem, New York City. It's done so through several voiceovers by Tish, who will talk about her love for Fonny in these voiceovers, along with racial injustice and how the justice system is working against her and Fonny's future. During these voiceovers, the film will show these black and white images of 1970s Harlem that relates to what Tish is talking about. And these little explainers don't feel like detours. They're very poetic and lyrical in a way that matches the tone of the film. And I like how they call out racial injustice in a way that informs the story and the main character's situation instead of just throwing it in there for cultural brownie points. One thing Beale Street does pretty effortlessly is moving from the past to the present and establishing the timeline of any given scene. It's normally easy to tell when a flashback is happening because Fonny will be present in the scene when he's actually supposed to be in jail. And the film could have very easily just let that be the only indicator as to the time frame that each scene takes place. But because this film is made by a good director, that was not the case. Beale Street took it a step further by filming the flashback scenes and the present day scenes differently to help better visually distinguish the two time periods. Scenes that take place in the past often have more camera movement and feel more fluid and dreamlike to capture this passionate romance, whereas the present day shots are a lot more restrictive. They're not necessarily static, but they just don't move that much. This film features several great performances. I thought a couple of the standouts were Brian Tyree Henry, who's been on a roll lately, Stephan James, and Regina, who will probably end up getting nominated for an Oscar. There's only one scene where I felt like there were a couple of questionable performances, and it's the scene when Tish's and Fonny's families meet for the first time. The two daughters of Fonny's family don't really feel like characters as much as they are just caricatures of two snotty teenage girls. Fonny's family in general, except the father, is significantly less developed than Tish's family. All they really do in this film is just show up at one point to insult Tish's family, and then they disappear. I hated the scene where Aunjanue Ellis starts starts just insulting Tish's family in church speak. It was really weird and cheesy. Maybe I don't understand because I'm an uncultured pleb who doesn't go to church, but I don't know any rich black people who insults other people in a way where it sounds like they're reading silly Bible verses to you. The biggest issue I had with this film, though, despite its great presentation, is that I did feel like the story had too much filler. The story of Beale Street is pretty simple and straightforward, and the film reaches a point where the story no longer continues to move or go anywhere. Tish's family goes on a mission at one point to try to improve Fonny's chances of getting out of prison, and once this mission has concluded, not much else happens. The film just focuses on the love of the two main characters, and it goes on for like 20 minutes. There was also a tendency every now and again for a scene to go on for too long and linger. The flashback where the two main characters are looking for an apartment with Dave Franco could have easily been tightened up. There's a dialogue scene with Brian Tyree Henry where he talks about prison. That's great, but that could have also been tightened up. If you cut 20 to 30 minutes out of this 2-hour film and maybe show a little less of the romance stuff, this film is easily a 4 out of 5 for me. With that said though, I can understand why so many people think Beale Street is an incredible film and one of the best films of the year. It's gorgeous to look at, and it is one of the better romances I have seen in a while. I'm gonna give If Beale Street Can Talk a 3.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks for watching this review. I really appreciate it. Please leave your thoughts on Beale Street in the comment section below and leave a recommendation on a film that I should watch and review next while you're down there. Be sure to check out the other content on my channel. I got several other reviews you might be interested in watching, including my review of Moonlight. Hit the like button if you like this video, or share this video, or both, whichever you prefer. I don't care. And as always, if you dig the channel, then subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, guys. This is Josh. I will see you in the next review of Glass. I have a lot to say about that movie. But until then, enjoy yourselves and try to stay warm. I will see you next time.